Welcome to Inspired by Design, the podcast where we explore the tools, stories, and insights to help you rediscover your authentic self and navigate life with less resistance. I'm Katie Rupert, a former hustle and grind overachiever on a thrilling and messy journey. I'd love to share what I'm learning and help others in self-discovery using human design. So, if you're seeking a way to move forward, let me be your weekly mindset coach and share stories to inspire you to action towards your unique purpose without the force or burnout. I'm so excited to introduce you to our podcast guest today, Hanna. Hanna is someone who truly embodies resilience, heart, and wisdom. I'm so excited for you to hear a little bit about Hanna's journey. It started in the Netherlands, where she completed some formal education, and then moving to rural Lesotho in 1984, she has now spent over 30 years immersed in personal development. As an educational kinesthesiologist, a medical intuitive, an allergy practitioner, and now as a coach, speaker, and author. She's also the creator of the I Thrive web app, a tool designed to support both physical and mental well-being in just minutes a day. But Hanna is not just someone with an impressive resume. What makes her truly powerful is how personal it is. In 2014, Hanna's life changed dramatically when her husband became seriously ill. And after spinal surgery and later a diagnosis of Parkinson's and heart conditions, Hanna was thrust into a deeply challenging role of a caregiver. Like many who support loved ones through illnesses, she faced overwhelm and burnout, moments of deep frustration. But instead of getting stuck there, she uses the very tools that she teaches now to shift from exhaustion to empowerment. And her story is a powerful reminder that you can care for others without losing yourself. Today, we're going to talk about her journey, her wisdom as a coach, and how the I Thrive app and her self-health toolkit are supporting people around the world. You're going to walk away with this episode feeling more grounded and more hopeful, and definitely more inspired. And right before we dive into this conversation, I want to share Hanna's human design type. I love looking at this so that if you've been listening to the podcast and you know a little tidbit about human design, maybe you'll start to see some of her gifts shine through as she shares her journey with us. So Hanna is a manifesting generator, which means she's multi-talented. She's got a lot of energy, and she gets her energy from doing things that she loves and that she's lit up by. So following her joy and things that she loves is what attracts others to her and what makes her successful. Her inner authority is called sacral, and that means she is best to go with her gut and use her intuition to make wise decisions for her personally. And finally, her personality style or profile in human design is called the 1-3, and it's all about investigating and becoming the expert, which you will find she is in lots and lots of ways. And the second part of it is that it was really meant all along for her to make mistakes, bump into life, and have hard circumstances in order to learn the wisdom through experience. So those married together and the life experiences and circumstances that you've been part of, I know are going to inspire others. So Hanna, with all of that, thank you for being here. I cannot wait for these listeners to hear from you and be inspired. So tell us a little about yourself, and thank you again for being here.
Well, let me start with thanking you for this opportunity. And wow, that is amazing what that, how do you call it again? The human design. It's amazing how accurate it is. Lovely. Thank you for looking into that for me. I really
I'm so glad that you resonate so quickly with it. That's fantastic. That's what I find a lot. Yeah, awesome.
What I want to start out with is, as you explained in your introduction of what the challenges that I'm facing right now with my husband and him being, ill, not completely incapacitated, but he cannot be on his own. There's always somebody that has to be with him. You can only leave him alone for a few hours a day. Otherwise, it's just, he needs that support. And how I managed to turn that around was with an insight that I had. It went as follows. There's this amazing book called The Psychic Roots of Disease. It's part of my gift in a self-health toolkit that we'll talk about a bit later. But here they look at illnesses It is developed by a German doctor, Dr. Hammer, and what they call the system Germanic healing knowledge. And it's all about identifying the inner conflicts that cause an illness. That is what they have seen. And as I said, it's a medical doctor who developed it. So it's not just airy-fairy stuff. He has done immense amount of research on it. And so I decided, let me go and look up what his symptoms are all about. So I looked at Parkinson's because that's the main thing he's dealing with right now. And it's all about being stuck with fear. And then I thought, but my first husband was also stuck. Why do I have two husbands that were stuck? Maybe I need to look at myself where I'm stuck. Because my favorite tool is the mirror. So what I mean with that is I like to look at the world around me as a reflection of what is going on inside of me. So if I have two husbands that have been stuck, or, the one, he's not there anymore, but the other one, he is now stuck, I need to look at where I am stuck. And I realized I'm stuck in the business. I also was, of course, feeling stuck because now I couldn't just go and do my own thing. I had to take him into consideration a lot more. I thought, okay, this is my challenge now. Let me see what I can do to get unstuck. And that's the journey I've been on now for the last, it hasn't even been that long, maybe the last year or so that I really consciously started working on that. And since I've been doing that, this whole thing of looking after him and realizing, but this is such an opportunity for growth for me, has been so energizing. Like you said in that human design thing of, about following your gut and following your bliss. I'm very fortunate that I don't have much willpower left. If anything doesn't excite me, I cannot motivate myself to do it. So don't tell me what I should be doing and could be doing and have to. I need to find out what resonates with me, and then I have so much energy to go ahead and do it. Then you don't have to feel your age because you're inspired with enthusiasm. So where did that now leave me is there's two ways I've been now looking at him and observing him. Let me give you a quote that I've now put together that I'm living by in this journey. And that is, the fool likes to blame others for their mistakes. The wise likes to learn from the mistake, but the genius learns from other people's mistakes. And that is what I'm doing. I'm looking into his life, see what mistakes he is making, because there must be some sort of conflict that has caused him to have all these physical complaints. And so I'm looking at him, what is going on inside of me? How is that an issue for me? I work on the issue within me, and then I have more patience with him. I have ideas of how I can support him. And just because I'm feeling better, he also starts to feel better. So he's improving by me focusing on myself. He used to say that I had this habit of trying to fix him. I was always looking for something to fix him. And he didn't like it. He was resistant. But now he says, no, you can feel it's completely changed. I'm focusing on fixing me, well, growing me, not fixing, there's nothing broken, but developing me. And then I just share what I find. And if he likes it, he goes with it. And if he doesn't, also fine.
Oh, that's so beautiful. And I can relate to it so deeply on a personal level as well. Thank you for sharing that. There's so many insights to what you've said even so far. Beautiful quote. I love that the human design resonated with you too. And you just, as if you know the system well, spoke in such a generator language. It's just so neat. I got chills when you were talking about being a caregiver and just navigating that. It's just something you kind of have to learn along the way. And like you said, use the wisdom from others too. speed that process up, hopefully. Gosh, I love everything you've said. Um, Now so you've got the I Thrives, which I have a personal experience with. So Hannah, you and I met through a networking group that was global, all online, and I'm so glad we did. And sometimes I think, as I'm also a manifesting generator, and so we're meant to do things that we're excited about, and sometimes you don't need to even see them through for X amount of time. But sometimes I think back to that networking group. I loved being part of it, but sometimes I think you were the little puzzle piece that I needed to pick up from that experience and put in my pocket, because I've been utilizing your app now for probably 6 or 8 months at least.
I
It's
also
been
think something like that. Yeah.
for quite a while, and I had a personal, like my personal win with it so far. Like, I'm a full believer. I would love to hear your response if someone would say, like, I don't believe in that, can it still help them? Because I totally believe in subconscious work and reprogramming your mind. Like, I've done the science, I've read the books, I've been through the yoga teacher training and all kinds of nervous system regulation work, that it just all sounds so similar. So when you introduced this to me, I was like, no brainer. For X number of dollars a month, I'm going to have this reprogram my brain while I'm sleeping. But I was struggling with some hormonal symptoms that never go away, never went away, never went away, did protocols and supplements and all of these things. And I did one of the programs, and I think I did it for 2 months, like went through it twice. And I can see the actual physical lessening of those symptoms that I can't explain by any other means. So talk to us a little bit about the app. And I want to talk also about your coaching, but I think this app is just so fascinating that everyone should definitely know about it.
Yeah, thank you for that opportunity. And I'm glad to hear are having those results. So, does subliminal programming work? Absolutely, yes. You know how they did an experiment many years ago in the movie theater, when in those days when they were just little pictures, the film. And so they put in a picture of a Coke advert in the movie.
Sure.
And whenever they did that, they found that the sales of Coke went up. There were just maybe one picture. Nobody knew it was there. But our subconscious mind is so powerful. Just to give you an idea, I know that people say we only use 5% or 3% of our brain consciously. That is when it comes to action and thinking about things. But when it comes to absorption, the ratio is completely different. Our conscious mind can process, say, 40 pieces of information per second. Do you have any idea how much the subconscious processes in that same time?
Oh, it's got to be tenfold or more, right?
How about anything between 11 and 40 million pieces of information per second is what the subconscious mind absorbs.
Incredible.
Now, but to put that into perspective, say we could read a 500-page book in a second.
Hmm.
That's how much the subconscious mind can absorb in that second.
Yeah.
You know how much in that same second we become aware of? One word.
Hmm.
So,
Incredible. Yeah. Hmm.
one word. And then people say, but life is ABC, it's terrible, it's this. But you're only seeing one word per 500 pages.
That is perspective, right? Wow.
Right.
Hmm.
And then when you start changing the filters, and we'll talk about how we filter just now, but when you start changing the filter, you now start changing what you experience. You start seeing the different words than what you saw before. So how do we filter all that information down?
Hmm.
Well, if you think of the whole internet and the algorithms they talk about, they just copied the brain. The algorithms filter all that information on the internet down to your behavior. What are you focusing on? Then with our brain, also, what are we believing? How are we educated? What did we get from our culture? What did we get from our experiences? So we have a whole lot of beliefs that also count as a filter. Then also, what are you focusing on? You know, when you are looking for a particular type of car, just because you bought one, you see it all of a sudden everywhere, but you don't see the other types. You know, so we filter things out because can you imagine how overwhelmed we would be if we were consciously aware of 500 pages of information per second? Would drive us dilly, right?
Yeah. Thank goodness for our subconscious.
Yeah, and the filters that we filter it with.
Yes. Okay.
Now, another thing is about how our health is also affected by our filters. Because our filters have a direct impact on our personality. Because we have certain beliefs about ourselves, we will behave in a certain way. And the funny thing is that a person with a multiple personality disorder will have one personality that can have allergies while the other person doesn't. Same body,
Wow.
different personality, different filters. One personality can even have type 1 diabetes, needing insulin injections, while the other personality doesn't. So that just shows you how illnesses, health conditions are again so linked to our beliefs, and the beliefs are just thoughts we think over and over again, which then filters all the information that comes to us. Now, what the iThrive app does is that you listen to these iThrives and they then change how you perceive the world. Well, it gives you suggestions on how you can perceive the world. It gives you opportunities to let go of your anger and your frustration and your beliefs like you're not good enough or you're unworthy, and then it puts other beliefs in. You can play them audibly, so you can hear exactly what I'm saying because you will hear my voice. So there's nothing hidden, but if you play them super softly while you sleep, then or while you go about your day, it costs you 2 minutes to put it on, and it just does the work on the background. The results have been amazing. I must tell you one very funny story on that one.
Yeah.
So one of the topics is, it's called abundant health. And the first one is the immune booster one. And that is, again, also part of that gift that I have for your listeners. And my husband had a visitor. He came to visit, but he was coughing so badly that you thought, his lungs would fall on the ground at any moment in time. It was really bad. And I was sitting in the other room, and I came into the lounge. I said, I hear you coughing quite badly. Would you mind if I just, I take my phone and I play something super softly in the background while you chat? He says, sure, no problem. So I put the immune booster on of the Abundant Health iThrives, maybe a meter away from him. Within 5 or 10 minutes, he stopped coughing. I thought, no, let me see if I can, make him curious about what happened. So I went in and I said, have you noticed you stopped coughing? He says, yeah, now that you mention it, yeah. I said, would you like to know how that's possible? He says, no, not really. I thought, okay. So I thought, well, bugger that. I'm taking my phone. I need to work on it. So I took my phone out of the lounge back to my office. 5 minutes later, he started coughing again. And he looked around and said, bugger, that phone is gone. So it just shows you how it had an immediate impact.
That's
And even
incredible.
some of the other subjects I've seen immediate impact, like a lady with period problems. I mean, she was like this, and she was like, couldn't hardly move, and she was saying she was feeling really bad. And I said, well, why don't you listen to the Carefree Period ones? And within an hour or two, she had so much more energy. Then, of course, she did have to go through the whole set, which takes about a month. Quite a lot of people can see already some results very quickly.
Yeah. Wow. I want to pause here. I think I have a question. Let me see if this makes sense. I had a little aha when you were sharing. Being in the yoga circles, I hear people say, and I don't know if this is like where you live as well, but I'll hear people say like, oh, that voodoo, you woo-hoo, woo-woo stuff, right? They're like, all that energy healing, all of this stuff that you do, like, I can't understand it, or I don't want to call it woo-woo and just dismiss it. Or there's other people who they know there's something to it and they don't feel empowered to learn or know more about it. So they just trust with full trust, like this magic, I'm here for it. And when you were breaking it down, I just had this little aha, like this makes so much sense to me. And there's science backed by it, but it feels like too easy, or it feels like, oh, it should be harder than that, or just the way we've been trained, we need medicine or whatever. And I'm not saying that, like, I'm not discounting any medical anything, but I just wonder, like, is it just that we don't understand? Like, do we need to understand it to believe it? So how does how does it work? And how can we take some of that mystery away, especially for someone that's listening? They've been interested in energy healing, but they're like scared of it because, oh, well, I think my religion wouldn't like that, or I think this isn't going to be okay, or it's scary. How can we get to a point where it's not woo woo and outside and mystery, and just experiment with it and give it a try, being open to it? Because, I mean, I can scream from the rooftops all day that I believe it. I believe it. I've seen it in my own life, but I don't know. What's your experience with how it works, and how people move from don't tell me about this stuff all the way over to seeing the benefits and getting to utilize them and being empowered to be like, yes, this works, and I'm just going to make this part of my protocol for life.
Well, let me first tell you a success story of one of my clients who was also like, really, how can this work? She had severe allergies for over 30 years, basically since birth, was now the sole breadwinner. She wouldn't come on camera with a Zoom call with me because in spite of being on so much medication, her eyes were swollen and her face was puffy. So she refused to come on camera with me. And now she was taking anti-anxiety tablets to cope because she had to work. But she was desperate to try it.
Mm.
I said, well, just try it. I mean, you can try them out for free for 7 days. It's super affordable. So she did. Within 1 week, she was off all medication.
Mm.
So sometimes a person has to be desperate enough. If they have enough pain, if they have enough, like period pains or heavy bleeding, or like a young girl toppling over at age 14, but the mother doesn't want to put it on birth control pills, try this. You've got so little to lose. The worst is that you spend that money for a month, and then, but it's still cheaper than just some vitamins and minerals that you buy in the store. This is even cheaper than that for most of the time anyway.
Right.
But what I really like is this book called The Psychic Roots of Disease, developed by Dr. Hammer. And his story is that he developed testicular cancer very shortly after his son was shot dead in some freak accident. And then, as a medical doctor, he thought, I wonder if there is a link between my cancer and the loss of my son, and the fact that he has testicular cancer, not colon cancer or lung cancer, no, testicular cancer. And then he realized, oh, it makes sense now. Because of this, my testosterone levels are going up. This increases my ability to father another offspring. That's how he realized nature, this is nature's way of compensating for my loss. Then he went to his patients to find out if any of his patients had experienced a major trauma before they developed cancer. You know what the percentage rate was?
Hi.
100%.
Oh my goodness.
Mm,
Wow.
100%. And depending on the type of trauma, you will predict what type of cancer a person has.
Mm.
So he had the loss of the offspring, he had testicular cancer. But if you have what they call a nest worry conflict, like somebody's ripped from your breast or ripped out of your family, that's probably going to lead to breast cancer.
Wow.
Now, this book is also part of my free gift that you can download. It's an ebook. Now, I'm bringing that information in also with my iThrives. As I learn more, I bring those things in because it's all about resolving inner conflict.
Mm. I'm so happy that you're sharing this, and I love the way that you speak about it. It's just, I'm learning this through experience in my own life. I know The Body Keeps the Score is a book that was really profound to me. A hard read, but it was so mind-blowing and eye-opening that okay, if the doctors can't help us, can we go deeper? Is there more to the story? And apparently 100% of the time. Yes, I believe
That
that was true.
that
Yeah,
yeah, that doctor was working with people that were sent home to die, and he still had an 80% recovery rate.
mm,
And with people without that, who came earlier, it was in the 90%. And that was without medication. So he wasn't very popular with the medical fraternity, and they
sure.
actually wasn't allowed to do much with it. But there's now a great movement to bring this information to the world, and that's why we handing out this free book. I didn't write this book, it's written by somebody else. It's
Yeah.
really brilliant that we start thinking about the mind and body. They're not connected, they're one.
Yeah. Yeah. Agreed. I totally believe that. And really what you're offering here in this conversation is, hey, there's hope. If there's so many people I know that this is my condition. It becomes part of their identity. They don't feel like there's something that could ever change it ever, but it does. It brings so much hope to me. Is there anything else you want to say about the I Thrive or the subconscious programming before we hear a little bit more about your coaching and caregiving? Because I think that so many people are in that spot where they're having to care for people too. So I want to make sure to hear from you on that as well.
Well, first of all, I'm the biggest user of my own app. So when I was stuck, I started creating a new subject on getting unstuck, which I've now just made available just a few days ago as part of the subscription, so that you know that. And as you say, there's so many people dealing with major illnesses and they identify with it. So that's why I do have subjects in there as like dealing with cancer to release your fear around it, but also making you aware that you're willing to deal with your conflict.
Mhm.
There are things in there of what you hear a lot is people having immune disorder.
Yeah.
That is about when people don't like themselves, they start to break down themselves.
Wow.
And the one that I really also found super interesting is that especially older women, but also old elderly men struggle with osteoporosis.
Mm.
Now, when you look that up in the book, it's about believing that you have no more place in this world and you start breaking yourself down
Wow.
from the inside out.
Mm.
So I now included in the eye thrives on the calcium because I also work with the different minerals and your ability to absorb them. I've included in there like I have the right to be here. There is a place for me in this world to compensate for that. So I bring those type of things in there.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's really neat. It's just more exciting even. I already know that it's so helpful. That's really cool.
Yeah. Yeah. So now you wanted to tell you a bit about the coaching.
Please, yes, tell us about it.
Well, I want to share an example with a client of mine, because I already shared you my example. So as I said, no, I'll go back to me first. As I look at my husband, I'm now just generally observing him. And I realized one of the biggest things he is struggling with, that I think a lot of people struggle with when they have a major illness, is self-esteem.
Mm.
Because we are so used to identifying our self-esteem or linking our self-esteem to our achievements. And now, if we cannot achieve like we know ourselves to be, if we're not the man or the woman anymore that we know ourselves to be, the self-esteem goes out the window. And so then I look at myself as well, like, oh, I have that too. Because okay, maybe not as bad as he has it, only because I still have things to show for, right?
Mm.
But too often there'll be days like, oh, I feel really bad because no results or nothing to show for, and then you feel really bad. So that is again how I learn from him. I learn from him of his behavior. How is he feeling? He's feeling down, or he's giving up, or he is judgmental of himself. Then I keep going back to me. Okay, hey, I'm judgmental. Let me address my self-judgment. I have self-esteem issues. Let me address that. And then I discuss it with him, but not like I'm not talking down to him, like, oh, I have the answers. I say, no, I understand. I have the same struggles, and this is how I deal with it. If you're interested, I can, support you in that. So that's the one part. And then, of course, I use the book to look at all the medical conditions and then see how I can learn from it. And that's my genius way of caregiving.
Yeah.
That's part of it. But the whole thing is that when I work with a client, it's about realizing this is happening for me.
Mm.
Like I have this client that then has a child that is diagnosed with schizophrenia. Now, what is schizophrenia? Is that you have voices in your head, and they pull you in different directions. And we've just been working with her on how she has voices in her head that, like, on the one thing she feels she has to do this thing, and then she has to feels the other part of hers feels to go the other way. I mean, we have a love voice and a fear voice pulling us apart inside of ourselves instead of coming together. And then I said, look how you are just like your son. He's just mirroring back to you what it looks like when you allow those voices to pull you apart instead of coming into harmony. And then she realized every time when she was going to have a difficult discussion with her husband, her son would be there. Even though they'd been hiding in the other side of the house, he would be there. And he's now like reminding her, come from love, because that's the only way he can keep himself together, is to be in, coming from love and a love mindset instead of allowing the fears to take over. So when you start looking at the person you care for, that you can learn from them, be the genius in how you care for them, you now start looking at dealing with your stuff.
Wow. Yeah.
That has a tremendous impact on your health. It will improve your health. It washes off on your client or on the person you're caring for, if it is a client or a spouse or a child. It just makes the journey so amazing. And now I can tell my husband, don't feel like you're not enough. You are enough, because look what I'm learning from you.
Mm.
You
Wow.
are enough for me.
That's such good perspective. I want to interject just a little personal story that very similar. And I think that there's no coincidence there. My husband struggles with digestive disorder. And I remember with all the altruistic reasons, I just want to learn everything I can about the gut and gut health. And I went down that rabbit hole and I learned so much. And at first I thought I was doing that for his sake, right? Like, hey, you should try this, you should try this, you should try this, kind of a little like what you were saying earlier about, fixing. I don't know that I would have said that's what I was trying to do, but learning so much about gut health led me down a path, right? It ended up not being about him getting better because of my knowledge, but about me figuring out how to cope with, him struggling, but also in turn, I learned about my gut health and my health, and it led me down the path of health and wellness and my body getting into a better place. Self-esteem. I always struggled with personal self-image, and through this journey, become more confident. I know about the foods that make me feel good versus not. So it became very much a personal journey. And through therapy and working on in other ways, I really did learn the only person that I can work on really is me. I got to learn that experience as well. And I just love the idea as I think about watching my parents care for my grandparents, or, other instances where I see people taking most of their time to care for a loved one. Um, what a silver lining to turn that into something for good, be it for yourself or for your legacy, for your generations that are coming behind. It's really powerful.
Yeah. I mean, what we see a lot is, so again, when you look after an elderly person, that osteoporosis is a real threat.
Mm.
Now you can work on your own point of, I have a place in this world. You can even talk now to them. You have a place in this world. You have a place in this world.
Mm.
And then they don't have to start breaking themselves down so much. So it will increase the health for both people. Or they might have to do some research or work a bit on themselves to realize I have a place in this world.
Yeah.
It brings so much growth. Did you know that in the East, older women don't have a menopause problem?
Really? No, I didn't know that.
You know why that is? Is because in the East, the elderly and elderly women are perceived as wise women. They have a place. It's not like here in the West is, oh, well, rubbish, put it
Mm.
aside, throw away. We lose our value as soon as our wrinkles start to show much and we don't look so great. And then we lose our place in society. And that's when we have all these menopause problems because I was doing some research on that menopause. And then I realized, looking at all the symptoms and unpacking it with that book and my training as a medical intuitive, I thought, oh, but hang on. Skin problems, that is about connection and feeling connected to people. And heart problems is about relationship and your love. And so, oh, yeah, that age, we start to wonder, am I still relevant? Am I still desirable? Am I still sexy? Can I still make an impact on this world? And then my husband said, but I have the same issues. So that's why I created then the menopause and menopause I thrives, because it's a time in our life when we reevaluate and say, do I like what I've created up to now?
Mm.
Do I want to continue on this journey like this? Or is it like, oh no, I've completely gone the wrong way? Those are all questions that come up that we grapple with, that then manifest them in all sorts of symptoms.
Mm.
Forgetfulness is like, well, I want to forget the past that I've created, what I left behind, because there's just too much there that I'm ashamed of or embarrassed about. And that's also, we got to clean up that past so we don't have to get the forgetfulness, the Alzheimer's and dementia and things like that.
Yeah. Wow. What a fresh perspective and so much hope.
One more quote that sums that up. It's not so much about what we eat, it's way more what eats us.
Yeah.
What is troubling you? We got to deal with it. Got to deal with it.
Yes. Oh, I find that to be true as well. Just a simple example of that in my own life, like I really struggle with dairy. I have been listening to the I Thrives on it, but I will have all of the symptoms when I eat dairy quickly by myself. But if I'm at a party or I'm with people that I love and I have cheese of some kind, I don't notice it. And it seems so confusing, but I'm connected and things are fine. And, um, and sometimes I put the fear on the food, like, oh, I'm going to feel sick if I eat this food. Well, of course I will. But if I'm just really enjoying my company and I'm not not overthinking about the eating, then I don't have the same symptoms. And that it doesn't make logical sense, but I feel like it's to your point. There's just so much more to it.
Definitely, definitely. So have you gone through the allergies one yet, and then the one for dairy? Have you gone through those yet?
I have, but I don't test it a lot. So I need to go ahead and eat the dairy and see how it goes, right? Um, yeah, good reminder. So Hannah is I feel like I could talk to you all day, and there's so much wisdom. When you said, we used to think of these women have so much advice and we look to them, like I would definitely put you in that category. I think everyone needs to learn from you, and I hope we can shift that in our society soon. Um,
Mm.
but is there anything else that you just feel like you want to share, you don't want to leave unsaid? The floor is yours. And anything you want to share with us, or if there's guidance for how do we use these freebies, I'll link them up in the show notes, of course. But is there anything else?
I would like to talk about my freebie because I know most of the people just give you one thing. I'm giving you three major things, and that's why I call it Hannah's self-help toolkit.
Yes.
So what you get in there is those eye thrives that I talked to you about, that one that got the guy to stop the cough. But a lot of people have used it as soon as you feel a cold or flu come on, you can start playing them super softly while you're working or sleeping. I have that book that I talked about in there that you can then get a link to download it. And I have a free forgiveness course in there. So sign up to that first.
Mm-hmm.
Then it will give you an option to sign up also for the iThrive subscription. It really is super affordable. Go and look at what the price is and try it out. 7 days for free.
Yeah.
And otherwise, do it for a month and see what happens. Got nothing to lose and so much to gain.
All right, Hannah. So tell us how exactly we can get to our freebie.
Super easy. You go to hannakoch.com. Hanna, no, I know English people, they have this urge to put the H at the end of the Hanna. So you can do it with the H or without the H, and then Koch is K-O-K. So it's hannakoch.com. And then you'll get access to the freebie.
How smart that you got both of them. I love that. Wonderful. Well, we would be wise to take advantage of all of those things. Thank you. Thank you for your time. Thank you for sharing your wisdom. Thank you for all of the incredible commitment to learning that you've used your life in so many lovely ways for. I mean, what a gift to the world that you've done all this research for us, Very well. Well, thank you so much again. I hope that we can have you on in the future. And I just appreciate you so, so very much. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for this opportunity, and to the audience. I mean, thank you for taking the time to listen to this. And my wish for you is that you take charge of your health. Listen to what feels right for you and see if you can disconnect from the fear that a lot of people have attached to their health issues. Your body has the ability to heal itself. That inner wisdom has been absorbing those 500 pages per second. There's a lot of wisdom in there that knows more than any doctor out there. And then it will guide you if you need to go to the doctor. I'm not a disclaimer. By all means, health problems, go to see the doctor, but listen to your inner guidance as well.
Yes, agreed. Thank you. All right. Well, thank you for listening to the end of this episode. We will See you next time. And make sure that if anything sparked your curiosity or interest, if you were inspired by this conversation, that you take the time to send us a note, to post, or to share the episode. I think this one is one that everyone needs to listen in. All right, thanks. Have a great day.
Thanks for tuning in to Inspired by Design with Katie Rupert. If today's episode sparked something in you, I'd love to hear about it. Share your takeaways, subscribe, or even leave a review to help others find the show. For more tools and insights, visit my free Facebook group. And until next time, keep embracing exactly who you are and move forward one inspired action at a time.